Hi guys, I know it's been a while since I did a video. I'm trying to get back into these again. I have a bunch of ideas that I've been wanting to share, and this is not my idea. This is something from Perfection. I'll bring that up again later. But basically this is a sharpening station, except I made a few changes to what he did on his design. I don't know if it was his idea or not, or what it was, but that's where I got it from, is from his channel. And I thought it was a great idea. So basically, I improved on it a little bit, or what I think are improvements. It's a tank here with a rubberized bottom, so that, and it's got water down here right now, so it's sliding. But this will stay in place pretty good without sliding around on me. I have all my water contained down in there. I made two bridges that do not move, and I'll be showing you how to do all this in a minute, but they don't even wiggle a little bit. If you wanted to turn it this way, have them. You can also move and have access to your water easier. You can just have it off to the side. But the bridges do not move. They hold my stones right here. I will show you that all the different types of stones, whether they're wood, plastic, just whatever, rubber, everything sticks really well. I think this is a great idea for outdoor knives, like my dogwood knife, things like that. This would be a great way to hone your tools and things like that when you're at home. The reason I'm doing this here in my kitchen, this is another one of my dogwood knives. This is my chef's knife that Dan made for me. So this is probably where it's going to be used the most. These are the knives I use the most and have to be touched up the most. These get used pretty much every day. So anyway, I'll be showing you how these work. Now this is not soaked, but I'll be showing you in the video, and I hope you like it. So check it out. I'll show you how to make one of these. Okay, well, what I chose to use is this polycarbonate. It's 4-inch. It's a food service tray. You can get on Amazon. I think mine was like $23 and something, so $24. It's 4 inches deep. It's right at 21 inches long. I don't know. I didn't measure it. I'm just going by the numbers that were on there, so I don't know if it's to the inside or to the outside. But either way, it's the 21-inch one. That's probably about 16 inches, but they don't list it that way. Anyway, I figured this would be more than enough for what I want to do. Now, I'm in my kitchen because I think this is going to be where I use it the most. Those are the knives I use the most, and I use them every day. So, while I do think this will be a handy thing for something like the outdoor knives and things like that and sharpening them, what I think this is probably going to be used for most often is things like my kitchen knives. Now, this is one that also happens to be this is from Dogwood, and this is my Dogwood chef's knife that I got, and I think this is probably what it'll be used for most. So when I was trying to decide how to do this, I went looking around looking for ideas, and basically what I wanted was something that would be very mobile. I could put this out in the garage, whatever, and bring it in and out. It doesn't weigh very much. So, okay, first thing we need to do is we need to tape it off to establish the rubber bottom. This particular one, I don't know which one you'll get, has kind of a textured bottom to it, and that texture comes around the lip just a little bit. You can kind of see there, it's just a little bit different color. I don't know how well it'll show up on the camera. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off all the way around before I can get started on the next step. Anyway, I won't make you watch me do that. Be right back. Okay, well, it's taped up. I just used Gorilla Tape to get around the edge and just make sure it's pushed down very good on the seal. And I had the guidelines from the texture to tell me where to put it, so I didn't have to make any marks and measure or anything like that. You would have to measure to make sure it's straight and all, depending on how anal you wanted to be about it. Anyway, one thing I'm thinking about, this may come up for you. There's a bead around the edge, so when you put it on down like this, the only thing that will touch is this bead. Now, since there will be quite a bit of water in here, I'm thinking that will probably be enough weight to give me enough traction where it won't slide very easy. I won't know until I do this, and then but depending on how much contact you're getting with your surface, you may have to decide whether or not you want to fill in this gap. What I'm going to be using is the Flex Seal stuff. I've had this in my garage for a while for some other projects, but basically it just rubberizes things, and yeah, it's kind of expensive to buy this large of a container, but you can get much smaller ones. So basically now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a rubber bottom all the way around here to give me a friction surface to where it won't slide. So I'm going to start working on that now. Okay, basically this stuff is very thick and kind of like concrete, is self-leveling. So you want to make sure you're on a level surface. I'm not overly concerned with checking the level of my countertop here because I figure it's going to be pretty close. Now if I decide to fill in the bottom, what I'll do is make sure it's extremely level and just pour some in and let it self-level out. But anyway, you don't have to worry about things like streaks or anything like that with this stuff. It comes out very smooth because, like, I don't know if you can see on through the camera, I'm putting streaks in it like crazy right now, and they almost immediately disappear as it levels out. It gets very smooth. You'll notice I'm using these cheap brushes, so it will leave little hairs and things all through it, but you don't want to use a good brush. These are 60-cent brushes because this thing is trash when I'm done. It can't be used again. Alright, that's my experience anyway. So it's just not worth fighting it. So anyway, I'm basically just putting on a really thick coat all the way around this. And then I'm going to let it dry, which doesn't take very long. And then I'm going to check and see how well it sticks without sliding to my countertop. Anyway, I'm going to touch up a few spots here and there, and I'll be back in just a little bit. Okay guys, well, I did the layer, and I'm going to be filling in the bottom because basically I don't like, it does have traction on some spots that were good enough, but it's not really holding great. Now of course, when I add a couple gallons of water to it, that'd be a lot of weight, so if I put pressure down, yeah, it'd be fine. But I actually wanted a little bit more rigid where it won't stay. So basically I'm going to add some more coats and build up the bottom to basically make it solid and smooth to fill up past that gap. One thing, I put a little bit, I started doing that last night, and it's been sitting here, and so it's kind of thick already here, so I just have to do a little bit more. And I noticed here in the middle where it had the biggest dip, this is very thick. Well, this probably would never dry the way it is because it's airtight now. So I'm going to cut a couple slits, let that out, and let that dry and see if I can stiffen this up. Okay, well, it was not quite dry. I went ahead and filled in the rest of it, and I think it's pretty good. It's still a little bit tender underneath, so it's still got a little more drying to do, but I can touch it without any problem. In fact, I wouldn't really mind if it stayed like this. As far as how, I mean, I can move it, but it'll be on something like this here, and it's pretty good. So I'm pretty happy with that. So now I'm going to take the tape off from around it, and let's see how it does. Okay, well, it is done as far as the bottom of this is concerned. Got a little more to do. This thing picks up every speck of dust and debris, period. It's not quite dry everywhere, as you can see. It's a little wet under there. It will dry. We're giving it a little more time. Anyway, it's not perfect. I'm not really worried about it any better than that. That's good enough. Looks decent. And this thing's going to be filthy anyway. So once it has, say, 2 gallons of water in here or whatever, it's not going to move. So now, got to work on the bridge. Okay, I'll show you what I'm doing this in just a minute. Basically, I'm making 2 of them, just under 11.5. Because I don't know which way I want it to go yet. I don't have to do the long, sure don't hit my camera. I will hit the camera, so I'm going to just back it up just a little bit. Excuse me, guys. Sorry I can't get any closer, but basically it's just a table saw cut, so. Okay, basically because I'm using a sled, I can just keep notching it and I can see exactly where the blade is going to cut, and I can cut blade thicknesses and shave it down really, really close to what I want. So basically I just nibbled it and nibbled it until it's firmly dropping down in there and there is no wiggle at all. That's exactly what I want. Now I need to cut the second piece. Okay, so I cut the second piece just to, didn't really measure how much of a lip, I didn't really care. I'm just gonna eyeball it and divide the 2. And I have a lip like that on each side, so that when it drops down into it, it'll be sturdy. It being 4 inches wide like this ought to be a pretty good bridge. Okay, I'm on countersink, so I'm on countersink 4 screws into the bottom. Again, I'm not really concerned about where they're at. Okay, so I'm countersinking 4 screws into it. I'm mostly eyeballing it as far as the lip, because I'm really not that concerned with it. As long as I have enough lip, I should be fine. So I'm going to put some wood glue down there. Oops. Will be more than enough hold. And in my wood shop, I would normally do things like put wood putty in, fill gaps, things like that. Not too concerned with this. So now, what I have is a bridge with no movement at all. So I'm going to make another one of these going the other direction, because I don't know which one I want yet. So I'm going to do that. I'll be back in a little bit. Okay guys, first of all I want to say this is not a big deal to do. It actually took me longer to set up the camera and everything to show you how I was doing it than it would to make one of these things. So basically, as you saw what I did, I didn't really worry about the size of the lip. I just eyeballed it and made sure it was something like that. But countersink, and I used brass just because that's what I had. I wasn't too worried about it because I'm going to be covering that with something. I'm not worried about what happens to it. You'll see what I mean in just a little bit. But that's pretty much it. I didn't know which one to make, but here's the bridge. There's no wiggle whatsoever. Very tight in there. So I didn't know if I wanted it to run this way because I'll have some stones soaking or whatever. I can move it over here, have things here, whatever. And I'm gonna get rid of that slide too. But if I did decide to do it this way, I just went ahead and made a second one. No wiggle whatsoever. And I could pull it to the side if I want to get into it like that. So anyway, that's that. The bridge is made. Now let me show you my next idea. Okay guys, well, one of the things I was thinking about doing was coating the top of this with the same rubber as this. And I'm not going to do that for a reason is I started thinking about it, and this is extremely slick and shiny. So I put a little water on there, and when I put a stone on there, it actually will slide across without any problem. So that was a problem for me. So I'm going to do something a little bit different. It's this. So I had my wife help me. I pulled it down like I would have it, and basically anything that I put on there does not move. Even the really light ones, like the DMT, these are hollow inside, very light, but even they hold without any problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the non-slip tool stuff there. Got it Harbor Freight, a few dollars. I'm going to put it on the top of this, but that would be all I have to do. I want to make it a little bit more cosmetically pleasing, so I'm going to do something else real quick. And like I said, this is just for cosmetics. I'm going to do the whole thing in a light coat. I'm not worried about it being any kind of furniture grade finish or anything like that. I'm just going to darken it up where it looks a little better. And that's all I'm doing. Okay. Okay, I have to be very careful here because I didn't put anything down under it. But basically, I'm cutting out a piece to go into the top using my dogwood knife. You can see my hands are disgustingly nasty now. I just used paper towels in the kitchen and just did it real quick. It didn't take but a second. So now, being careful not to cut my countertop. What I'll do is I'll cut a piece out and I'll show you what I'll do next. Okay guys, I want to apologize for something. It looks like I skipped ahead and I actually didn't. What happened is my camera failed and I actually completed the entire thing. So I'm having to go back and redo to explain some of this stuff. So you may notice some differences. It looks like some steps are ahead. I'm going to explain why. My camera is being repaired and I'll be getting it back soon, but basically I've already built it, tested it, and played with it at this point, but I'm going back to show you what I did. And the point that it dropped off was when I cut these. So basically what I did is I just used wood glue, spread the wood glue really good, laid this out and put some pressure. Yeah, I washed it off because it's filthy from actually using it. Put some pressure down on it and let it sit, and basically now this is glued on. So that's how I did that, and now my bridges are made. So let me show you how they work. Okay guys, well, I do want to let you know that because this is very slick on the bottom, and I'm kind of rushing through this, but you want to make sure that the countertop is dry and the bottom of your container is dry. It's pretty stiff and everything, so it won't move easy, especially not just from sharpening, but it will move much easier than it would before, just because my countertop's wet. But anyway, other than that, it's actually not a big deal. And actually, I'm not even worried about that for any of this. It's not going to affect anything. I normally put the stones on the other side, but for the camera, I'm putting them here. I can have my stones soaking for the ones that have to soak. They're just down in there. Just to let you know how this works. So let's say this one here. no problem, not going to move. This one here is not soaked yet, but wood contact, no problem. Just going to drop that down in there. It doesn't actually soak, of course. A regular stone, no problem. Of course, rubber on rubber works really well. So if you have one of these, of course you do it that way. The ones I told you I was a little bit worried about are the hollow DMT stones. No problem at all. And of course, I could always do that. So, that being said, now these are not, I'm not going to use them, since they're not soaked or anything, I'm just going to use this to show you. Grab one of my kitchen knives here. So, as you use it, you see there's no movement. Everything's perfect. If I needed water, it's right there. The mess is contained. Now, I do want to thank somebody for this. The idea originally came from a YouTube video I saw, Perfection. I don't know if you guys have seen that or not. He did a very similar setup to this. I thought it was pretty cool. I did what I would like to say are improvements to that with the rubberized and this here. I think it's a little bit better. That is, up to you to decide if I did make improvements or if it was necessary or not, but it's just some things that I wanted for it. Anyway, that's pretty much it. That's how it works. Hope you got something out of this, guys, and I'm sorry it's been so long since I've done a video, but I'll close out the same way I always used to, is I will be back with another video real soon, and this time I mean it.